Welcome to video 2, Assertive Communication and Using I Statements. Communication is a complex activity that involves verbal and nonverbal aspects, as well as the language used, the topic under discussion, the history of the participants, and their beliefs, values, and judgments that they bring to the conversation. Ineffective communication occurs when the meaning of a message is misunderstood. The Assert Yourself workshop has 3 videos for you to access. In video 1, we look at passive and aggressive communication styles, breaking down the verbal and nonverbal characteristics of each. We take a brief look at the passive and aggressive communication style and analyze the cost and benefit of using each communication style. Video 2 breaks down the components of assertive communication, looking at verbal and nonverbal characteristics, exploring the roadblocks to acting assertively. So addressing some of those things that might be getting in the way of expressing ourselves in a clear and direct manner. And we learn I statements, which is the basic message of assertive communication, which helps to address the language we use to articulate our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Video 3 explores different ways of saying no and why saying no can be difficult. We've explored opposite ends of the communication spectrum. On one side, we have the passive style, which holds in emotions, avoids conflict, and on the other side, we have the aggressive style, which violates the rights of others. So what is assertiveness? Assertiveness is the style of communication that lies in the middle of the spectrum. It is a clear and direct style of communication where thoughts, feelings, wants, needs, and beliefs are expressed in a way that is respectful. Respectful to yourself in that you are not holding it in, and respectful to others. This style encourages the ownership of emotions, so we are not blaming others for how we feel. This evokes the least amount of defensiveness when communicating with others, and it helps us to work towards resolving conflict. Assertiveness recognizes that others have a right to their individuality and to express their thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Understanding and not necessarily agreement is the key, so communication is truly a two-way street. The verbal characteristics of assertive communication is a firm, relaxed voice that is sincere and clear, not overly loud or quiet. There is use of I statements, which is the basic message of assertive communication that encourages ownership of thoughts and feelings. There is a distinction between fact and opinion, so stating that my experience is different. Suggestions are made without shoulds or oughts, so we are involving the other person's opinion by asking, how about this? What are your thoughts on this? And not interrupting, allowing them time to think and respond. Asking questions shows interest in understanding the other person's point of view. There is a willingness to explore other solutions and compromise. So, how can we get around this problem? Nonverbal characteristics of assertive communication include direct eye contact without staring, an open, welcoming body stance, a relaxed posture, smiling when pleased and frowning when angry. So here, the inside feelings match the outside expression of emotions. Features are steady. If we want to make change in our behavior, it's important to examine those things that might be getting in the way and making change difficult for us. Just in the way that we analyze the pros and cons to using passive and aggressive communication styles, it's important that we address the barriers to using an assertive approach. Beliefs. We develop thousands of beliefs throughout our lifetime about all aspects of life. These beliefs develop in childhood through exposure to family and culture, and they continue to develop and evolve through the life experiences we have, from relationships to social media, as well as a wealth of other influences. The beliefs we have about ourselves, how we should feel, and what we should or shouldn't do, directly motivate our actions, and we will likely have specific thoughts related to what being assertive means to us. These thoughts may not fully be accurate or helpful, so it's important for us to take the time to analyze them if we want to make a change. For example, if growing up, the understanding in the home was that children were to be seen and not heard, or "Don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about," then the belief would be that my opinions and my feelings are not important or valid, or that I should not express myself. If this is a belief I hold about myself, then trying to adopt an assertive approach, directly and openly expressing my thoughts, opinions, wants, and needs and beliefs, may actually feel aggressive or quite intense. I would want to challenge this unhelpful belief in order to make the move to an assertive approach easier. Conversely, if I was raised in a home with many other children and the only way to get attention or to get my needs met was to compete and to be better than others, then the belief I might have would be that in order to win, I need to be aggressive and go after what I want, regardless of who stands in my way. Scaling that back and using an assertive approach that takes into account the rights of others might feel wimpy or cowardly. Maybe I have the belief that I'm responsible for other people's emotions and that I should never upset them, or that they might not like me if I'm direct and honest. There are many beliefs that can be at play, and it's important to ask ourselves what beliefs are getting in the way of being assertive, and how can we challenge these beliefs in order to make a change. Feelings can be a roadblock. We may worry about the consequences of being assertive. This may cause fear, anxiety, or other uncomfortable emotions that can prevent us from acting assertively. A lack of skills. We may want to communicate assertively and just don't know how. This is the easiest area to address. Effective communication can be learned just like cooking, driving, or any other skill. Practice, practice, practice. The situation. There may be certain situations, such as physical danger, where it is not safe for you to express yourself to others. If my goal is to change your mind, an assertive approach may be successful and will likely result in less defensiveness, but not 100% of the time. If my goal is to express myself to be heard and to do this in a respectful way, then I can be successful each and every time I use an assertive approach. I may not get what I want or need from the person or the interaction. And the other person may not be happy with what I say, but it does increase the chance that they will understand my wants and needs, and it improves my chance of communicating effectively. I statements are the basic message of assertive communication. I statements avoid blaming others for your emotions, allow you to own your own feelings. They are an accurate and less hostile way of expressing emotions, and is the most appropriate way of informing someone that their behavior is causing a problem. This helps to establish limits and boundaries and can minimize your guilt and resentment, as well as the defensiveness from others. It's not about who did what, but about how you feel about what happened and what you would like to change. The basic formula we use is I feel. Here's where we insert the feeling word: angry, sad, frustrated, worried. Avoid saying that after saying I feel. So it is not I feel that you don't listen to me. This just becomes another statement of thought or judgment. A feeling or emotion should always come after I feel. Next is the when. Here's where we inform the person what they are doing that is upsetting to us. We focus on the behavior and not the person. Just like if your child broke your favorite coffee mug, you would be upset with what he did, but you wouldn't say he's a terrible, awful, rotten child. We want to focus on their action. The most important point being to avoid saying you. The minute we say you, the person will become defensive because they're being blamed. Everything we said before is negated, and everything we say after will not likely be taken well or even be heard. Because focus is on the why we are feeling or responding the way we are. It provides information to the other person. We really need to make sure we don't slip in another you here. And as an added bonus, we can add, and I would like, telling the person what we would like to be done differently. This is not necessary, but can add value when we provide alternatives to what people are currently doing. I statements can be very effective, but they require a lot of practice because we are changing the language we use as well as how we think, which is automatic. So here's where we can practice. Without practice, I statements can sound robotic and do not feel natural. So practice is what helps us to make change. Here we look at some you statements and changing them into some I statements. You don't love me. You never want to spend time with me. This statement comes off as needy. It may actually push the other person away, having the exact opposite effect of what they're looking for. So let's try it with an I statement. I feel. Okay, what's the feeling here? We don't really know the exact emotion, but it sounds like this person is feeling lonely or sad. So I feel lonely when, what is the behavior? When you don't spend time with me. Wait, no, I said you. That's not going to work. So I want to focus on the behavior. I feel lonely when we don't spend time together or when we don't talk or text. This focuses entirely on the action and takes blame on the other person out of the equation. Next part of the formula is because. Here's where we give them some insight into why we feel this way. Because I miss you, or because the relationship is important to me. And I would like. Here's where we can add the behavior change. So, and I would like to hang out or get together or talk more. Putting it all together could sound something like, I feel lonely when we don't spend time together because I miss you and I'd like to hang out more. Big difference between that and you don't love me and you never want to spend time with me. Let's try one more. You are so lazy. You never help out around the house. Is this statement likely to get me any help around the house? Probably not. So let's try this as an I statement. I feel, what's the feeling here? Well, we don't know. The statement is blaming the other person, but doesn't tell us much about what the problem is. I can imagine this person is feeling frustrated or overwhelmed. The when, what they say here is that they aren't getting enough help. We really want to be specific, and again, avoid saying you. So, I feel frustrated when I come home to a sink full of dirty dishes. Because here we focus on the why. Why is this a problem? So I feel frustrated when I come home to a sink of dirty dishes because it means more work before I can start dinner and I would like some help. Or I would like dishes to be done before I get home. It is difficult for someone to dispute our feelings, but easy for them to challenge us if we blame them for something. Taking ownership is powerful, but it does also make us a little vulnerable when we are open about how we feel. Take some time to practice using I statements to help become more comfortable with assertive language. This brings us to the end of video 2. Video 3 will look at saying no. Thanks for watching.